Welcome to the June 3rd District Board of Governors meeting. On May 20th, we received the 2020 district budget. In accordance with North Carolina General Statute 159-12, a public hearing must be held before the Board of Governors may adopt this budget. I will open that public hearing now. Jeff Yates, if you'll come and presentation. And I'd like to say I appreciate our guests joining us today. And if you didn't get to sign up, let me know and I'll give you an opportunity to get a sign up to speak. Okay?
Good evening, governors. Tonight we're just going to have the public hearing related to the water and sewer district. So I'll just go over a couple of quick points for you and then we can get on with the hearing. The water and sewer district, of course, maintains a contractual relationship with the county, and the county delegates the operations of its system to the district. In 2020, the district is anticipated to receive about $51.8 million of revenue. Of that, about 49.8, or roughly about 96%, is related to charges for services. If you remember, this is part of our water system, so it's all completely funded through ratepayers and fee payers, so users of the system fund that completely. Included in the budget is a $34.7 million reimbursement to the county for the operations. As part of that agreement, the county then provides services to the district also. And that includes the business operations as well as the maintenance of the system. Part of that is $15.8 million in payment to the county for the operating capital and debt service. So that is a direct payment to the county and then is moved and funds the debt service and the capital. The district is also budgeted to contribute about $1.2 million to the water and wastewater capital program as PAYGO funds, and that will be included in our, we do the CPO for related to the utility on the county side. And then finally, after tonight, this is the statutory required public hearing. The board may adopt the budget anytime after tonight's hearing. It's our anticipation that we will come into session again as the Board of Governors on the 17th. At that time, we'll have two items for you: the adoption of the 2020 budget, as well as the adoption of the CPO related to the Capital Reserve Fund for the system development fees. So what we'll do is at that time, we'll bring before you all the system development fees that have been received in 2019, and we'll appropriate those to specific projects within the Capital Reserve Fund. So with that, I'll turn it back to you for any questions, and if you have none, we can go ahead and start with the hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. We have a number of individuals signed up to speak at our public hearing. And Jennifer,
How you
you'd
doing?
like?
Do I need to just stand up here? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. And state where you live,
Okay.
please.
I am one of the homeowners on Pinewood Forest. It's a community, Pinewood Forest, right off of Wesley Chapel South Road in Indian Trail, Monroe area. I purchased my house in September. I did all of my due diligence when it came to purchasing our house. We've looked down that street many times to purchase. We bought a house that after purchasing, I did find out that we had one well that dried up on the property from the previous owner. They did have a second well put in, which is 1,304 feet deep. At that point, when I purchased the house and I had my well test done August 27th, we were at 3.6 gallons per minute, and now we're only at a half a gallon per minute. So my well is already starting to dry up from the time that he put that in to now. And I have like my well test and all that other stuff that was taken on August 27th. We are the second house in as soon as you pull in onto Pinewood Forest Drive. There's 5 of us that live in our house. We need the water. My well is already bringing sediment into my house, which has caused my my electric tankless hot water heater to go. So we have no hot water heater. We have barely any water coming into our house, and it would be great if we could figure out something to get a water line down our street. I am the second house in, so, but I guess everybody else will be telling you the same kind of story because from what I hear, this isn't the first time that we've had this issue in your house and those lots, but I'll let you speak with them as well. But the one house that I will be listing, 7008 Pinewood Forest, they have their own line from the street. So there are several houses that have their own water line from the street that goes on the opposite side of my side. So, because I'm on the left-hand side and Brenda's house was on the right.
Would you help me put it in perspective? What is your street between landmark-wise?
We're literally right off of Wesley Chapel Stouts Road. So you have Old Monroe Road, Weddington Road. So we're in between that Wesley Chapel Stouts Road, which has all those new communities, because I used to live in Taylor Glen, so that one hasn't been there that long. You have Sheridan that's been put in. You have a new community that's being put in between Sheridan and Taylor Glen that is for 55 and older community. I'm a real estate agent in the community, so this is, I know all of these. You know, you have Wesley Woods right next to us, Brandon Oaks behind Taylor Glen. So all these communities have the water right off of Wesley Chapel Road. You've got Holly Park, you've got all these communities except for ours, which is only a certain amount of houses. It's not like we have a whole bunch of houses, but a lot of us have issues. We do believe that we have arsenic in our water. So, I mean, coming from a well and having arsenic, even if you cook with it, it doesn't go away. In fact, it makes it worse. So, you know, I have to buy bottled water on top of things.
How long would you say the total need would be from where the water is to the end house?
You mean how many houses?
Yes.
Okay, well, we were just trying to figure that out. What did you say, Christy? 10 on one side, probably 10 on the other?
Yeah, so I also live on Pinewood Forest Drive. I'm much further down the street, almost to the end. So we've got about 10 houses on the right and probably about 10 or 12 on the left. And I'm one of the last houses on the right with my mother's as well, so we have two. Technically 3 houses in the development with my uncle as well. But the last house on my side also has technically a private water line, which they have spent countless hours and money trying to fix, that they would be happy to be on the public water as well.
That's a dead-end road that goes down.
It goes into a cul-de-sac.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then off of that is also Plainview. So there's another little street that's a, you know, more of a private road that has had other houses built along there as well. But right off of Pinewood Forest Road, that's how many houses are on that
Yes,
street.
manager, to explain to you what we've got coming in FY 2020 as far as the process.
Well, currently we have an engineering firm that is studying, well, the board has asked them to study water distribution throughout the county, one. And then we have another consultant.
At that time, she said that she had applied to get water brought down for her lots on there. They told her at that time it was going to be 5 years. So that was in 2016. In 2017, when we bought the lot, I called, they said it's going to be 5 years. We built our house in 2018. Before we went to dig our well, I called, they said it's going to be 5 years. This year, I called the beginning of the year. They told me again it was going to be 5 years. I kept pursuing. I called Indian Trail. I said, somebody's got to do something. This is ridiculous. They keep telling us 5 years. So I finally got to speak to a Kimberly Rollins. She told me that they had set up a fund for people with water considered a health hazard. I have our results here. Our arsenic level is 7 times the allowable amount. So we cannot drink our water. I cannot cook with our water. I babysit our grandchildren. I have to make sure they don't drink our water. We only get a half a gallon a minute. We've run out a couple times of water. And so she told me that the people who were on the list that Mrs. Cooper had originally put in, that because ours is considered a health hazard now, that she was moving us from the general list to the health hazard list. She said that this year that they were going to decide whether or not our street was going to get it. If they decided that we would get it, she said it could be this year, it could be next year, it could be the year after. They don't know. which is no help to any of us. It's just frustrating not being able to, I mean, we spent $14,000 on our well, and it's pretty well useless to us. We have neighbors who have dug wells and have gotten no water out of it. It's dry. They can't move into their house because they have no water. And we just feel that the water's there. It's at the road. We've got gas. They brought gas down our road 2 years ago. And the water is there. Everybody else that's off of Wesley Chapel Scouts has the water except for our street. We're surrounded by water, but we have none, and it doesn't seem like anybody really cares. They just keep saying, oh, sorry, 5 years. So that's our story.
Okay. Does she need to get Mr. Matthews' email and send that information about the arsenic to?
I mean, I sent this
We're
to-
very familiar with this particular area, absolutely. I certainly could give her my email, but we're very familiar with this situation.
Yeah, I don't know Kimberly Rollins. I don't know who if she's associated with anybody in here. I just sent her our results. But if you need me to send it to you, I can do that.
I'll give you my card.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Next, is it Kirst?
Oh, that's me. Christy?
Christy, okay.
So I'm sure you guys heard a little bit of my story. My name is Christy Ocasio. My husband and I live at 7016 Pinewood Forest Drive. My mother, we purchased 2 houses, live at 7014 Pinewood Forest Drive, and my uncle just purchased a property at Plainview Road. The 3 of us have wells, and they are currently at about 900 feet deep with 1 gallon a minute, which isn't very much. The issue being is that I had one of the privatized lines that was run down the street, and as you may know, that there are still available lots on the street. My neighbor Judy Niz had purchased one of the lots and begun digging in August. She's still currently building her house now just because of the ridiculous amount of rain that we had gotten over the winter and the spring. And just recently, over the past month or 2, she had dug her well. The well people were out at her property for probably about 2 weeks, and they didn't hit any water. So I had given her my privatized line. Without that, she would not be able to move into the property, and she would still be at her current residence, not moving forward with anything. So she would have a shell of a house with nothing that, for all intents and purposes, she may have spent her life savings on, or they might have financed it, and now they have 2 mortgages, which is absolutely ridiculous. In order for me to give her the privatized line, I don't know if there's anyone engineering in this particular room, but they were not helpful at all. They made both of us jump through hoops in order to get the line handed over to her, even though I was very willing and very clear about me allocating that. I just don't find that acceptable.
How far did you run your line?
Probably about 800 feet.
And it's a 2-inch line?
It is a 2-inch line. In order for me to give Judy the line, even though our current water allocation isn't that great with the gallon per minute, I had to completely sever the line so that she could use it for the house and pass inspection. So now not only am I sitting on a well that's feeding my house and my mother's house, I have no insurance plan. And granted, that was my choice, but at the same time, would you leave your neighbor without water in a house that they were building?
How many 2-inch lines are run like that, and what's the furthest one?
4.
Yeah.
The furthest one's probably about maybe 100 feet past mine.
Yeah.
And how much further would it have to go to reach the end?
Probably 200-300 feet. Everyone that I know that has a privatized line, Olga, I don't know if your line is 2 inches, but all the ones that I've seen, because we have many leaks, all the ones that I have seen are 2 inches.
And you have a lot of leaks
Yes.
Yes.
in the private lines.
I think there's one right now, because I was walking down the street
There is
and
one right
where
now.
they're building another new house on our street, and I think that might be your line that you gave them, I'm not sure, but there is a leak because the water is coming out
Yeah.
into the
So
Yeah, we have that line, and we already fixed it once, and we've been living at that house since 2017.
The problem with the leaks is that, I'm from Virginia, so our frost line is much lower than yours. We put things significantly deeper. Here, the lines are probably maybe a foot below the surface. And anytime any really heavy equipment or machinery, anything just out of, larger than a truck goes over the lines repeatedly, they'll spring a leak. And in order to fix the leak, you have to dig it out, 4 or 5 feet so that you can pull it up and cup it and then put it back. It's quite intensive, especially for a lot of the people on our street are not of my age. So they either do it themselves and hopefully they have something to pay for it, or they go outside and have a stroke in this humidity.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Alder?
I think everything that I was going to say to be said, so I'll let
Maybe
you.
you want to pass it on to you?
Yeah.
Shannon?
I can speak. My
What?
name is Shannon Abel. Is it okay?
Why don't you come on up then, and there's Judy,
Yeah.
okay, you'll be next.
Sorry. My name is Shannon Abel. Me and my fiance own a property at 7,000 Pinewood Forest Drive. We bought when Brenda Cooper subdivided her existing properties. In 2017, when we purchased our land, I had called the county in hopes of finding out if there was natural gas run and if there was city water. I was told there was no city water, but give it a few years and city water would be brought down. We purchased our lot and we stayed in New York for a year. By the time we moved down, we had called again. Still no city water had been run. We kind of waited some time while we searched for a builder, found a builder, and we're in process of building our house now. We have now found out that there is limited water, arsenic water, and even no water. We've yet to drill our well, but all of these circumstances leave it quite concerning when your normal well drill is about 200 to 300 feet, and we've heard everything tonight from 800 feet to 1,300 feet. So we're hoping that we can bring city water to help all of the people who've spoken tonight, accommodate not only health hazard, but
How far down are you?
we're just past the breezes, so I would say 500, 600.
5 or 6 houses down.
Yeah.
You near the end, or?
No, we're probably right in the middle where it branches to Plainview.
Plainview comes into Pinewood Forest.
600 feet or something, I would say.
Good? Yeah. Well, they got a fight. They present somebody.